Did we know that Facebook was going to be up 50% this year?
I called it last year.
You called it last year?
Okay, I did. I made it one of my top picks for 2019.
So what's it going to be for next year?
I think there's more upside.
How much
data
more
I'm looking
upside?
at least another 30% upside.
Another 30%?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're not worried about antitrust tension ramping up, maybe even more noise about splitting off the messaging apps or not allowing the messaging apps to communicate with one another?
Yeah, so I published my 12 predictions for 2020. And the first one was really just the antitrust regulatory backdrop, which I think will probably escalate as we head into the election cycle, deeper into the election cycle, but I think it eases off after that. As far as the antitrust...
Eases off if under a Trump administration or eases off under an Elizabeth Warren administration?
Irrespective, I think, of who wins, which...
Irrespective.
So you think Elizabeth Warren's a paper tiger on antitrust enforcement?
I think a lot of this is just really posturing into the election. That's my own personal belief. As far as antitrust, though, as far as Facebook and Google, I just don't see the rationale that they have for breaking up those two companies. If you look at YouTube, you look at Instagram, those two assets are so heavily intertwined into the core parents' operations, whether it be technology...
Regulators aren't or politicians aren't necessarily rational, right? You don't see a rationale, but they may absolutely see a political rationale, right?
In an election cycle, yes. So you have this irrationality. When that pressure's off, I think the rational thoughts come back into play. I do see a case for Amazon. Will the stock
trade up and down based on the degree to which Elizabeth Warren appears to be rising or falling in the polls, since she seems to be one of the most active when it comes to talking about what's going to happen?
Correct. So you'll see some headline risk tied to that. You may see some pressure on the multiple. So multiples may not expand as fast as we probably think they should be because of this overall regulatory issue and antitrust issue. I was going to say that I do think there's a case for Amazon, though.
To break up?
Yeah, I mean, as far as AWS, I think it's a fairly distinct business from a growth rate.
But you're breaking that up on the industrial logic of breaking it up, not on a regulatory issue. Or you say you're trying to get ahead of the regulatory issue.
Right. I doubt Bezos wants to break it up, but I just think there's a case that you could make.
You think it might be forced to break up?
Eventually, longer term,
because
I think there may be some pressure there.
People complain AWS might know what their competitors are doing because so many companies...
This is the cloud service business of Amazon,
run on
which is growing
Amazon
dramatically.
servers, so how do you know if you're looking at
or it subsidizes the marketplace?
Yeah, that's been a longer-term concern for AWS since the early days of it. But it's a distinct business, different growth profile from the core business, different margin profile, different cash flow characteristics. It's a different business. So
what about Google? You don't see a rationale for Google? I mean, increasingly, when I use Google for search, I'm never leaving Google.
But what do you break it up
more and
exactly?
more services, flights or hotels or prices of wine or anything. It's all now in the Google box. Isn't there a rationale there if I'm a competitor and they're saying they're using their monopoly position in search to move into these other businesses in an anti-competitive way?
Yeah, but the thing you have to look at is that Google is a massive ecosystem. And so when you disrupt ecosystems, you disrupt what the user experience. And so if you disrupt that, then I think...
Consumers will be harmed. There'll be a lot of...
Consumers will be harmed and everything else.
Yeah, because I know you're saying, how do I roast turkey? You used to click a link. Now the main result is in the box. You're never leaving Google.com.
But look, for all of that...
And it is convenient.
You have an Apple device. I imagine you're like me. You're living on an Apple device in a Google world, which is sort of an interesting phenomenon that you're not on an Android if you're such a Google lover. Why is that?
If I'm such a Google lover.
Meaning if you think if everyone's living in this Google world.
My desktop and mobile worlds are
No, but his point is
different.
you said that you get, once you do a search on Google, you don't end up believing it because they provide everything already on the screen, right?
Right.
So you're living inside this Google world, but you're on an app. It's not, I mean, I get the monopoly.
But I'm still using Google search on my iPhone. I'm still stuck on your original comment that you and I are a lot alike. That's how you open that. I mean, we have 3 kids. We live in the city.
We are alike.
Yeah.
In very many ways.
By the way, try DuckDuckGo.
He's better looking, though, so it's a problem.
We both dress for the holidays.
Is there a best bet on tech stocks that you cover, Victor, for 2020?
Yes, so on the large cap side, I'm actually going to go with Facebook next year, as well as Amazon, irrespective of what we just talked about. I think those 2 stocks would outperform quite significantly. On the mid cap side, though, there are some stocks that underperformed this year that I think will outperform quite significantly.
Like what? Give us some names.
One is ComScore, which I cover. Another one is Meet Group, which is an online dating app.
What is it called?
The Meet Group.
The Meet.
The ticker is MEET.
I hope.
Right.
Yes, thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, you're right.
The other one could do well.
For a certain, subset of the population. Yeah.
And the third was Angie Home Services, which
really Angie's list.
They were actually disrupted by Google this year. That was an unforeseen event, and the stock.
The new algorithm Google put through blew out their search results.
Exactly.
Right?
So why are you so convinced it comes back?
Well, number one, they are diversifying away from Google as far as the traffic source, and so that's working. And also, they're shifting the business to more of a pre-price, fixed-price business.
Okay, so bring on. I'm handing you $10,000 for Christmas right now.
Last year.
Yeah, I give you $10,000. You can only do one thing with it. What do you do?
I'll place my bets on Facebook. The data I'm looking at right now is so strong from a user perspective. The advertising checks are so strong that I think this Facebook just continues to outperform operationally as well as a stock.
You got it right last year. Hope you get it right this year, next year.
Right.
We'll see you next year.
See.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.